Thank you very much. Uh, Hello, good evening, welcome all. Thank you so much for coming to this webinar. Um, Several months ago, there were a couple of different people from very different walks of life in my office who were both talking about feeling sort of at the end of their rope and wanting some kind of thing to do that they would uh, feel better about the world and themselves and regain some hope and some healing. And so I began working on this thing with some other friends. And We have not tried it as a webinar. We'll see how that works tonight. Thank you all for participating in this test. I think it will, I'm hopeful anyway. Uh, when I do this in a Sunday service, I talk a little bit about one of my relatives first. I think we can draw strength from our relatives sometimes. Um, and often I would talk about my great aunt Bernice, my mother's father's sister. Um, Among some of the things she did is help put her husband through medical school, even though he had been blinded when he was a child by a stray gunshot. And helped him run a successful practice and ran her own business. And by the way, flew a biplane over the skies of Missouri in the 1940s. Bernice was pretty amazing. Not perfect. She's human like the rest of us, but she did have a lot of strength and creativity. And so sometimes when I'm in a rough patch, I think about Bernice, and I invite uh, all of you to be thinking about people. I think ancestors are people that we're either related to by blood or spirit or aspiration. Whoever it is that might give you strength, I invite you to keep them in your heart and mind as we're going through this. Uh, and these days, with the climate crisis and the possibility of war and the attacks on abortion rights and transgender persons' rights and people of color's rights and so many other issues and concerns in the world, it is sometimes a little difficult for me to find much hope for our biosphere. And to restore my hope and to heal my spirit, uh, this ritual may help. Please participate as much or as little as feels appropriate for you. There will be some movement, some intention setting, both silent and out loud. When it comes time for people to share some of those things, I'll ask Sharon to unmute us all so we can have that conversation. There'll be some affirmations, and there'll be a fair amount of grounding ourselves in this present moment while simultaneously expanding our awareness and compassion as widely as possible. The ritual is intended to be theologically alive and inclusive of differing abilities. Our diverse philosophies and spiritual traditions call us to participate creatively and open-heartedly in shared rituals such as this. Our diverse bodies, senses, minds, and abilities inform different wants, needs, and preferences. Please engage the motions and actions if they are comfortable and meaningful to you. Hold the words spoken with an understanding that serves your philosophical or theological identity. The ritual always begins with gratitude. I am grateful to everyone who helps make this possible. Thanks to each and every one of you for being here and sharing your energy with us tonight. I offer thanks to Sharon Dittmar, who suggested that we try this, and to whomever provides technical support to make this webinar work. They have skills that I do not, and I'm grateful for their assistance. Thanks to those who helped me create the ritual, including Cassie Fitcher, Helen McFadden, and Jenny Peak. We thank our own ancestors and all those who've ever lived on the land where each of us are. May we individually thank any deities and directions with whom we sometimes commune. And let us silently set our intentions. The language I'm using will focus a lot on healing and focus on whatever it is that you most need in this moment of time and space. It might be strength or hope, endurance or peace, being lifted up into the light of change. If you pray, this might be a time to engage in prayer. If not, do whatever works for you to set your intentions for this next 20 minutes or so, and be as specific as possible. So let's take a few moments of silent intention setting. We ask and set our intentions for healing and resilience. We ask for and open to the following things. And Sharon, if you can unmute, or I guess we can all unmute. If you feel called to share what it is that you're hoping for tonight, unmute yourselves and share with the group.
This is Chuck in Bowling Green, Kentucky. I'm hoping just to have some more learning about this whole process. Thanks.
This is Irv Fallman, looking for guidance.
Hey, this is Michelle. I didn't know what I was looking for into this, and then 1 minute, literally 1 minute before I joined this call, hung up the phone with a family member, and it got some life-changing news. I'm not really even ready to share it yet, but I just need to be here.
So for healing and guidance and hope and strength and whatever each of us needs, in our heart. And the process continues with some movement in place or about this space. It is also effective to visualize these movements if that's a good alternative to physical motion. This is adapted from a piece from UU religious educator Annie Scott. We begin with our hands in front of us to find our inner quest. We raise our arms to open ourselves to the spirit of compassion. We bring our hands to our hearts to affirm the strength of our inner voice. We extend our hands out in front of us to offer our kindness and respect to others. We lift our hands out in front of us to offer to others and to the world all that we have to give. We raise our hands, reaching out to the world, being open to all it might offer us. We bring our hands down, gathering in the gifts and bringing them into our heart, and returning to stillness, our hands back together. We bow or nod in the four directions, such that our thoughts and actions may serve all beings for the highest good of all concerned. And now let us enliven our bodies. Give yourself a gentle shake, get the wiggles out, get up and dance around if that feels right. Gently drum on your limbs and your trunk and pat for a while, get that blood moving and the energy all excited. And having stoked the fires of our being, let's mingle our energies. If you happen to be in a room with more than one person, you could move around in that room. Our bodies are batteries, and our energy fields are constantly brushing past and through each other. In this ritual, we're braiding our beings, strengthening our spiritual sinews. And for those of us who are not in a room with other people, let us braid together the strands of attention from all of us in all these different places. Take a moment to visualize the other participants in this webinar. Consciously reach out to the people in the congregations. I can see at least 5 or 6 states that are represented here. We have people all over the region and from outside the region. Let's send our attention and our energy and our love out to all those places. Now, as it happens in my life, sometimes I am unhappy with my defense mechanisms because they get in the way of me being more open and more vulnerable. And I remind myself that my defense mechanisms are there for a reason. They protect me, or at least they did when I started them. So let us thank our defense mechanisms for keeping us alive and as well as we are. Take a moment to focus inward, acknowledge the specific defenses that you often find, and thank them for protecting you. And coming back into shared focus, we can consider loosening our defenses for the duration of this ritual. Perhaps we could drop a shield or tilt the mask that we wear. For some of us, I know this might mean removing some serious armor. This is an invitation. It is not a directive. Consider becoming a little more vulnerable during this service. We'll have the opportunity to put our defenses back into place before we leave this sacred webinar. And let's take 7 deep breaths together. Don't worry about counting or whether you're doing it right. Your breath is your own, nourishing you just as it is and however it is. 7 breaths. And what we are doing is grounding ourselves in this present moment. And in this moment, opening ourselves wider and lighter. Becoming aware of our bodies. Noticing how we're sitting. How our feet feel. the fact that we have ears, being present in these bodies here, now, and we know the mystery is also fully present here and now. And letting go of our own grasping ego, we release and identify with the entire web of all interdependent life. We are here, now, and we are all beings, everywhere and every when. From this vantage point, more energized, more grounded, and more ultimately expanded, let us check in with ourselves. Perhaps we're now aware of deeper needs. Perhaps we have a better name for what we invited into this space a few minutes ago. Perhaps it is still exactly the same. However you know it, let's take a moment to deepen and refine our intentions for the remainder of this ritual. And coming back into shared awareness, please repeat after me. I am healing. I am whole exactly as I am. I am healing and I am wholeness. Healing flows through me. I open to the flow of healing. As you are comfortable, see if you can go deeper. Allow yourself to open to the flow. Relax into the now. And notice that there are healing, strengthening energies within and among us. Noticing these, drink deep of this moment. And let's join. We're going to do an Om together. Whether or not we can harmonize, it doesn't make a difference. We're doing an Om together, and the sacred syllable will resonate through us and through the interwebs. Noticing that which we need around us. Absorb what it is that you need. Feel it surrounding you and supporting you. Soak it in. Notice as it infuses your being. Allow it to buoy you and comfort you. Breathe deeply and relax into the energy that we are creating and flowing through us. And let's share this good energy with others. Direct some of this good energy overflowing our own being toward others, blessing them with vigor and peace. Direct some of this energy to others in your congregation, in your family. Direct some of that good energy to others on this webinar. If you can see faces, imagine sending energy to them. If you can see names, let it flow and spill over. Direct some of that energy into family members and friends and loved ones somewhere. If there are beings toward whom you'd specifically like to send energy, think of them now. With all of these people, named and unnamed, with all beings of the interdependent web, we share this abundance. Take one last deep sip. This powerful grace and joy, allowing the healing energies you need to wash over and through you. Just pouring gently through every cell of your body. This energy is always available to us. This love is continuously showering the universe. We can always access this. And one last moment of it as we begin to prepare to return. And again, taking 7 breaths. And let's send some of that to all the people in California who have fires near them. And coming to rest back in this place. If you loosened your defenses and if you want to put them back on, you might begin to set them back in place. I am deeply grateful to everyone for participating and helping create energy to heal us. We again give thanks to those who made this possible, to the Mid-America region, to the APF. We are grateful to the evolving spirit of life. We are grateful for our ancestors and the strengths they brought us. We are grateful for the opportunities to be good ancestors to those who will come after us. So may we be. And if you are imagining that you have to drive somewhere in the next half an hour or so, you might want to discharge some of the excess energy before you get behind the wheel. You can touch wood or stamp your feet or reach down into the earth with your energy and gratefully share it back. History has chosen us to be here in this time. May our stories live and breathe so that our descendants never lack for heroes, and we can get to what we need to be doing in these days together. So may we be, and thank you.
Thank you, Chip.
My pleasure. Thank you.
Thank you, Chip.
And
Thanks,
Chip, can you see that someone asked if you could write out the phrase you started beginning with, I am healing, I am whole, exactly as I am? Ah, there you go. Thanks, Chip. Do you have anything more for us this evening, Reverend Roush?
This is the thing. I'm happy to answer questions or to hear how people receive that. And if it was just good enough to have the experience together, that's fine too.
Thanks, Chip. I just loved it.
It's so good to see you, Rosemary. Thank you.
Nice to see you. Where'd you go? You're not, anyway. The screen keeps moving about. Great to see you too. Oh, there you are. Yeah.
Thank you, Chip. This was just what I needed tonight.
Yeah, I'm so glad.
Me too. It was exactly what I needed. Thank you.
I agree. Yes, it was exactly what I needed as well. Thank you.
Hi, Mary.
Hey, Chip, I'm so glad to see you.
So good to hear your voice.
Thanks.
Hey, Chip. That was really drawn in.
Yay, thanks. I appreciate it, Peg.
Thank you.
Reverend Roush, I'm a seminary student, and I just wanted to ask if you had specific times and places when you did this, or if you modified this for any other occasions.
That's a great question. Hi, Wendy. Congratulations on being seminary and blessings on your journey. I did an early version of it, sort of a beta test with my congregation here in South Bend, and they had a lot of nice feedback. And then the next time we did it was at Susie, which was ideal. We probably had 100 people that were really, really interested in it and willing to do a little woo-woo. And so that worked out really spectacularly well. Since then, I've done it in one small congregation with some people who were not as open to the woo-woo elements. And it was still good. People still dug it. And there were a few that you could tell weren't as interested in it, but I don't think they didn't vomit afterwards, so it might have been useful for them too. And I've got at least one more congregation that that I'm set up to do this in Cincinnati. I think in February. I'm excited about that. I think it works better with a pretty good crowd, all in the same place. But this seemed to work pretty well. And I might be doing it in a college classroom this Thursday night. We'll see. I need to work with that. And then if things continue to go well, I might apply to do it at General Assembly in Province. I'm not sure if that answers your question, but that was some of it anyway.
Yes, I'm going to be ministering to people with chronic conditions and the homeless. And so I wondered if you were doing this for specific groups with specific disabilities and if you were modifying it to their conditions.
So the AIM Ministries, what used to be the, sure it did. At any rate, yes, Helen McFadden and I had a very nice conversation about how to both model things differently, the language that was used. She was of the opinion that, you know, inviting people to do as much as they could, as much as they were comfortable with, was pretty appropriate. And if you've got more feedback or ways that might be, yeah, changed a little bit to be more useful to certain populations, that would be great. I did notice that at the SUSI, there were, thank you, Accessibility and Inclusion Ministry is AIM. At the SUSI event, there were some people in wheelchairs, and one or two of them participated a little bit, and one person was in a boot, and they did walk around a little bit and do some of the things. So I know there are still some parts, you know, if you are have challenges with hearing, this would be difficult to do. But I hope to keep expanding it and be as useful as possible for people.
Well, if there are no other questions or comments, I think we will conclude this experimental webinar. And thanks so much, Chip, for your gracious and humble presence and your gift to us here.
Oh, thank you so much, Sharon. I really appreciate the opportunity.
Thank you, and have a wonderful evening, everyone.
Be well all. Thank you.